Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees, and I got a special show for you today here. I'm in my front yard and this is a Sapodilla tree, and I'm learning a lot about Sapodilla this year because I'm learning how to pick them, to shake them when they're ripe and they fall off, and just discovering a whole bunch of new things about old trees that I have. And the way I learn is by speaking to people that have been doing this much longer than I have. And today on the show, I'm going to be meeting up with Alex from Tropical Acres Farm, and Julian from Lara Farms, and Tom from Sleepy Lizard Avocado Farm. And then we're also going to talk to Bobby, who has a house with a bunch of fruit trees as well. All of these people have more experience than I do in growing different fruits. And I'm going to be hanging out with them for the whole day. All of us, and I'm going to be taking you on a tour in this first episode of our meeting around Tropical Acres Farms. Now, Julian and Alex have known each other for a really long time, but Julian has never been to Tropical Acres Farms. So we're going to get on camera Julian's first visit to Tropical Acres Farms, and he discusses with Alex about many of the different trees. Yes, the mango trees, but also the different mameis and avocados. It's wonderful. Now, there's going to be a two-part episode because it's kind of long. It's one of my favorite episodes, so you're going to enjoy it. And I have other videos coming up with all of us going to Bobby's house and talking about his trees. That's where I learn the most, is when I meet with these people and I talk about these trees with them. And, you know, it's just really a great time. These are great people. I'm going to put all their links in the video below, in the video description below. So click on those links and visit all of them. I want to support all of them and what they're doing and their hard work and their great knowledge that they have. And I'm just so thankful not only to call them colleagues, but also to call them friends. So these guys are great. Remember, this is a two-part series. This is part one. In my next episode, I'll upload part two. Now, it was just too long, I think, to do it all in one episode. And I want people to soak it all in, and there's so much to soak in. But just relax and watch this, because there's a lot of stuff you might miss if you just have it on in the background. And when you watch the second part, there's a lot of great stuff. Don't think watching the first part is enough. Please share this with others, and I'll have them on the show again, and we'll all hang out again and do more videos like this. But until then, everybody, check it out now. Here we are at Tropical Acres Farms. All right, everybody, here we are. We're just having a day here with some of the owners of the local fruit farms. This is Alex.
Hello.
And from Tropical Acres Farms.
I'm Julian, Lara Farms.
Lara Farms. And this is Tom from Sleepy Lizard Avocado Farm. And this, you want to say
Hey,
who you are?
it's Timo.
This is Chemo, who has some trees here. He's been on the show before. And then we're going to go visit Bobby, who's been on the show. So right now we're at Tropical Acres Farm. And Julian and Alex know each other for a long time, but Julian's never been up to this farm. So Alex is going to show him around for the first time.
Yeah.
And Tom was here on the Father's Day for our
Day.
mango event. And you've been here many times.
Yeah.
All right.
Just that one time.
So yeah, anything you guys want to say before we start?
I'm good.
It's raining,
Yes, it's raining today.
but we're still here.
Yes, dedicated. No sleepy lizards here.
No.
All right. So since there's so many of us, we don't have the mic here. I use the mic when it's just a couple of us.
Tight work, bro.
In semi-alphabetical order.
Does Zill graft them this thick, this fat, the rootstocks?
Does Zill do it that way? No. Do we, when we're desperate for rootstock? Yes. But no, most of the time when we're grafting them, they're not quite that thick.
So you got chip grafts here.
Kind of, yeah.
You got a T-bud chip, and then
They're
you got
T-buds,
and then you have the cleft.
We have some cleft, not a lot. Cleft is usually when we...
And you have this cool-looking cleft type cleft graft. It's kind of like a side veneer cleft.
Yeah, that's like a side cleft is what I'd call that. But honestly, we usually only do those in situations where we need to use every single bud off the tree, you know. So
Tight work, man.
stuff got blown over by the
Do you have a lot of workers, or are you the only
No,
one that
I
does the
don't. In fact,
grafting?
right now we only have one employee right now, other than myself and my wife. But I have part-time workers that help me through the rest of the year when we're a lot busier. Anyway, our 3 gallons over there, we don't have a lot of those. We have even less 7s. Our trees usually sell before they ever get to that.
Same thing
size.
here. I usually sell them all in a 1 gallon.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy to because I can turn those over quickly.
Oh, I see you got the poles on stool.
Yeah, that's we got it from you, and then you told me that Ray Delma May was the same way.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we don't need to plant a second one,
Right.
so we'll hold on to this one in a pot for now. So that's what we did. It was a 1 gallon when I got it from you, but it's just sitting there for now until we figure out what to do with it. So.
Just Sapodilla grafts going
Yeah, a
on.
little bit. We don't do tons of those, but we're going to try to do more of them. So.
Oh, there's a Ford. He has a Ford tree, a big tree.
Who?
Yeah.
Me.
Oh, you like Ford?
I love them. They're giant. They're like
Yeah, I know
cantaloupes.
they're big. Yeah.
And I get them in September, so I have them late in the year.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I have one technically growing in a pot that we never planted. You can see it right here. You see that pot that says Ford on it? That's how excited I was to plant Ford.
Well,
But I've had customers ask for it, like the trees. So I've budded trees off of that thing.
yeah.
Well,
Well, you know, the interesting thing is, like, we all have different purposes. Like, you're into this because of your diet and what you're interested in your eating.
yeah.
You know, you're selling trees. You're selling trees. You guys all both sell fruit. I sell fruit. You know what I mean? But I also, like, YouTube videos are big for me.
Yeah.
You know, and so if I have something that's interesting, so I got one red avocado from you.
Right, the Hialeah red.
Yeah, it's not so much that I want to eat it or sell it. It's an interesting thing, just a novelty to make videos about.
Right.
Similar with the Ford. It's a fruit that comes in later. Nobody believes me that they're 5 pounds. I pick one, put it on the scale.
Look at this.
They're like a cantaloupe.
Yeah.
And I think they taste great too, you know.
Okay.
But we all have different. If it was a commercial farm where you're selling mangoes, I wouldn't want to do Ford because you got to pay them, you know, pay to grow them all the way to September.
What's bigger, that or Cabeza?
I've not seen a Cabeza.
I think Cabeza. If you look at the video from Truly Tropical, you'll see how they look like. They're ginormous, like a pumpkin. I see you have early Thai everbearing.
Yeah, I have Thai overbearing.
Well, tell me something about that mango. I love that mango.
Well, they're little. They're
It's like the size of a turpentine.
Yeah, exactly. The funny thing about Thai overbearing is it's not really everbearing. Like, I've
No.
had it flower in different parts of the year, but never all year.
Right.
They're fine. They're not super popular because they're small. There's not a lot of interest in Thai mangoes these days either. So, but I have one. And I've had orders for it, so we graft probably between 5 and 10 of them a year, based on people ordering.
It's not
it.
a popular mango.
No, but we make it we graft by order a lot of the time. So like something like that, I don't feel obligated to make a bunch of it because I know there's not going to be a lot of customers coming here asking for it by name. It's going to be collectors that want that mango.
Right.
Uh,
I like the flavor. The flavor is pretty good.
it's okay. It's fine.
No fiber. It's like
No, it's not fiber.
it's like a turpentine with no fiber.
Can you clarify what do you mean by everbearing?
It's named everbearing, but it's not really everbearing.
Yeah.
But what would everbearing mean? Like just throughout the
Mean
year?
that it would-
All year.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Because I have a tree I got off of you. It flowers every other month.
What kind of
A
tree?
mango tree?
It was labeled Nam Dak Mai. I get what looks like Nam Dak Mai's off of it.
Yeah.
It
Nam Dak Mai
flowers.
will throw off season
Yeah.
bloom. We've gotten off season.
Yeah.
I mean, I've shown it to you, Paul.
So
It-
that's the other thing about Thai overbearing. It's not that remarkable for that because like other Thai mangoes will do it. Chakanan does it a lot.
Uh-huh.
But there's other ones too that will throw off season. This is Royal Special.
Right. There you go. There you go. Round like an apple.
See?
Oh, wow. It looks like an apple.
Yeah. This little cluster here is
Which are they, Alex?
It's called Royal Special. It's a
Special.
mango from India. So in India they use this to make
That's
pickles.
cool.
It's like a classically flavored mango.
Uh-huh.
And it'll fruit in the off season in India too, so it has this
Really?
reputation. But like the problem is, we never planted ours, and it grew through the pot. And now I graft trees of it. I need to plant one of the grafted trees that we have, or I need to top work a tree into it because there is demand for it. When I got it, I wasn't so sure there was.
I would
So-
never guess there was demand for this mango.
It's South Indians that know it under the name Punasa. They don't call it Royal Special. and they use it for pickles. You know,
The pickling.
yeah.
How does it taste?
Ripe, it tastes like a classically flavored mango. When it's unripe, it's sour. So, and that's why they like it for pickles. So anyway, we're going to actually put one of these properly in the ground somewhere.
Well, while you're here, somebody asked me last night. I got a bunch of questions, and as you show them around, we've been talking about Timor. Somebody said, find out why Alex, what his issue is with it, because Julian said it's like his favorite. I don't know why somebody would say that, but that was the question.
Yeah, I don't know what they mean either. Unless they mean, okay, well, the mango that we call Timor in Florida is from the USDA. Egyptian people tell me that this is not the real Timor. The mango itself is delicious. I love it. So I've taken to calling it USDA Timor. But otherwise, that's it.
Okay.
I don't have any issue with it.
Yeah, but these Timors that I have, where it's from like an exchange they did at Trek, that they actually went to Egypt.
Oh, really?
And brought back Timor, Mesk, Hindi Bessanara, what's the other one? Diab.
Yeah.
Bullock's Heart.
Yeah, I have all those.
Yeah, that's from like a little trip that they made for an exchange. Like, we'll bring you some Tommy Atkins, some Haydens, and some other stuff for an exchange for some good Egyptian mangoes. E. Weiss.
Yeah, I have an Weiss.
Right.
I got it from you.
So all those were brought back in the 80s.
Okay. Well,
And,
whoever brought back something that a lot of Egyptians claim is not the real Timor. I'm just telling you what our Egyptian customers have told us over the years.
Right.
That's it. Otherwise, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Maybe it's another kind of Egyptian mango. They claim that Timor in Egypt turns blue. But
Right. Timor means blue, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh,
But they do get like a bluish, greenish skin when they're unripe.
Yeah, I would say so. But I've had Egyptian customers swear to me, even including people that grow mangoes commercially in Egypt, that this is not the real thing. I hear this from different ethnic groups about different mangoes that are supposedly from their countries of origin, and then they're brought to the United States, and people from there and that are part of that diaspora will say, oh, no, that's not the real Cat Lock, that's not the real Timor, or whatever. And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. I don't claim to be an expert on it, but I try to be as accurate as possible when I'm describing these things. So on our website, it's called USDA Timor, because I think they've got one at the USDA.
Well, they grow differently because they're in a different environment.
That's
kind of like
possible.
Alfonso doesn't grow well here. I mean, it grows well, but the fruit doesn't really do good. And when they're in their proper environment, they look and taste like they're supposed to. But when they're brought outside of their comfort zone, Timor may not be blue all the way.
Yeah, so I don't know the answer for sure.
All right.
And Egyptian customers and people from Egypt can decide, I suppose.
Sure.
But anyway, it's a very good mango. Whatever it is, it's delicious. It's fiber-free. It's freestone, which means that the flesh does not cling to the seed. You know what I'm talking about? A very vigorous tree, though.
Yeah, very vigorous.
Extremely. So we've told Californians before that might be a good choice for them because vigorous trees do better there than dwarfy trees. Yeah. So
All right.
right, so let me
as
show
the
you
day
the-
goes on, I'll pop in some questions
Yeah,
that your viewers
probably
had
would
for
be
you.
better if we
Okay.
dedicated a segment just to
Sure.
answering these questions.
Yep.
That's Gilberto.
Gilberto, yeah, this is different. That's a weird budwood.
Yeah,
Nice and green, kind of like a canistel.
yeah. And then this one is Buena Vista, I think.
Buena Vista.
Yeah.
Is it
Got one of those
Mamey?
in the ground.
Buena Vista, Mamey.
And then I planted an Achille and a Vidal Redondo that we got
those
from
are
you recently.
phenomenal. Those are like a Laredo type.
Yeah, well, that's desirable. So
Yep.
we like Laredo a lot. So anyway, these big trees here are Edward trees. The Sturrock planted a lot of Edward because they named the Edward.
And they produce well down here.
Yeah, they produce really
They're not
well.
shy bearers
No.
like down where I'm at.
No, they produce extremely heavy crops here. So, and they flower multiple times.
What do you think happened to that mango over there? Too much water?
No, that mango has a very bad potassium deficiency because I haven't been giving it potassium. So we don't have a lot of potassium in our soil. Other than that, it could have powdery mildew too. But we get some micro deficiencies here.
Well, it's all sand.
It's all sand, but the sand they usually thrive in. You don't see a lot of micro deficiency on these
No,
trees.
you don't. You don't.
They're pretty healthy.
Mangoes generally love sand.
Yeah. We'll dig a hole, we'll take a shovel, and I'll show you what the dirt actually looks like. So anyway, these big Edward trees, they were planted in the 1940s in Jupiter, and then they transplanted them here in the 50s, like 1955 or something like that. They brought these trees. They were about the size of some of these smaller trees you see back then when they transplanted them. Anyway, they brought them from Jupiter to here, and they've been here ever since. So this is kind of the back section of our nursery. We keep a lot of rootstocks back here, as well as some of our wholesale orders. We get everything we can off of this place in terms of rootstock. So, yeah, I have to have my employees de-weed them. So I don't really have time to. So
A lot of weeding.
a lot of weeding, but and this is all stuff that's going to get grafted in the spring. So, like leftover rootstock from this last year that wasn't quite large enough to use.
And that's what you do with all your fruits. Whatever's left over,
Yeah.
just use them for seeds.
Yeah, unless it doesn't make a good rootstock. Some mangoes don't make good rootstock, but and we kind of know which ones those are. But plenty of them make perfectly fine rootstock. So, but mostly turpentine, Duncan, Edward, and Filipino are our main rootstocks.
Now, customers from the West Coast don't want
Yeah, they don't want-
polyembryonic rootstocks.
They don't want turpentine rootstocks most of the time. A lot of them do want polyembryonic, or they tell us that, but they tell us that they don't want turpentine, which is fine. There's anecdotal information that suggests, like, it could be that turpentine rootstock doesn't do well in California. You said West Coast and California? Okay. Yeah, California, Arizona. We get that question a lot, and most of the time we'll try to sell them a tree that's grafted onto Duncan or Edward or Carabao or Philippine rather than turpentine, unless we only have it on turpentine, and then we'll tell them, hey, like, this is your only choice if you want this variety from us grafted. We get people from the West Coast that buy seedling trees from us, and those people want polyembryonic seedlings because they're true to type a lot of the time. So we've had people order, like, sweet tart seedlings from us, orange sherbet seedlings, anything poly, because they feel like
Orange sherbet is poly?
Yeah, kind of. I say kind of because a lot of the times you'll open up an orange sherbet seed and it does not appear to be polyembryonic. It doesn't have the segmentation, but other times it does. Lemon zest is the same way.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's
Is
actually
PPK?
yeah, PPK's like that too.
Is like that. So
yeah,
it got it from his mother.
Yeah, so PPK is sometimes polyembryonic, if you will.
Really? That's
Yeah.
just so odd.
Very odd. So some mangoes, let's say, are more polyembryonic than others.
You know what I get a lot of requests for from California? Anything grafted on Manila.
Yes, they ask that a lot because they have Manila there, and it supposedly makes a fine rootstock in California. A lot of the nurseries in California sell Manila seedlings. You can buy them from Home Depot, for example. At least you used to be able to. And what these people will do is they'll take one of these Manila seedlings that they buy from Home Depot or Laverne Nursery or whatever, and they plant them in their yard, and then after a couple of years, they will graft over that Manila into something else.
And use the Manila as a rootstock.
Exactly. So that's common. But anyway, all right, so I'll show you.
What do you think of this place? Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, it's humongous. A lot of space.
I think it might be the biggest private collection.
It's the
One of
it's,
them.
it's the biggest privatized germplasm collection in America. You asked me.
Now, Fairchild's not private. That's public, right? Or not?
No, it's private. It's private. But that's funded. That's like a foundation. This is like really private.
Yeah, yeah.
So David Sturrock used to live in a house over here back in, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
There's a Sturrock mango, right?
Yeah, in fact, the ones with grips next to the house were Sturrock trees.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, he hybridized mangoes, that was his thing.
Right.
Did it in the 50s and 60s.
That's not an easy thing to do.
No, but there was one that came from the program that he really, really liked a lot. And he named it the Duncan. And this is the original Duncan mango tree.
Wow.
But the funny thing about this tree, it's actually a grafted tree. What he did was he took Edward seedlings that he had in pots, and he approach grafted them to mature trees, a lot of which were like mature turpentines they had in the ground. They were about like this size at the time. So he took like a 1 gallon seedling, and he approach grafted it to something about that size on a low branch. And he thought that it would fruit quicker if you did that.
Putting more roots on it.
Yeah, like it would impart hormones in that seedling that would make it flower quicker.
So he's planting rootstocks onto the original tree just to add more root system.
And older tree hormones, if you will, that would perhaps make that seedling want to
Fruit
flower
faster.
a lot quicker than it normally would.
Right.
This tree flowered in 2 years from seed.
Because of that.
Yes. So 2 years, and you can still see the callus tissue from the graft.
Yeah, I do see that. I
The
do see the
original
graft
Dunkin'
line. I
Yeah.
do see the
mango
graft
tree.
line. Perfect.
Yeah. So that was what it was. That's what he did, and he had wired them into place because you have this potted seedling that you have to keep suspended in the air for the graft to heal, right? So when we started to kind of work with this place, there was all these old stumps like you see here.
With wire inside
with
of
wire
it?
still inside of them from his experiments, right? And a lot of these trees were no good. They're just junk seedlings. This was one of them, for example. And so some of them we just cut out and Jack just chipped them up. But some of them
Just top-worked it.
we top worked them. So like, for example, this one I top worked. This was a turpentine. I top worked part of it into M4. This one was like some random seedling. I top worked it into Seacrest. So this is a top worked Seacrest tree. It's about the flower. And then this is a cotton candy. I turned it into a cotton candy.
Right.
So top worked cotton
That's
candy.
what I do at my place. Whenever I get bored of a mango and not excited about it anymore, I just cut it and top work it with something new that I'm more excited about.
I
Yeah.
tried it for my first time this year. I had a tree. I've been there 13 years. It fruited twice. So I said it's time, and
Yeah.
I took it down and I didn't do it. I had a guy come and graft onto
That's a
it.
long time to wait. And so like, yeah, I don't blame you for one.
Where'd you put?
The Balliet, the one that
The
comes
Balliet.
from another seedling on my property.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your house variety.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. Alex, can I ask you a question? Are there?
Julie?
You're talking
Yeah,
about
on dwarfing stock from Gary.
cotton candy and stuff. Have you ever named? Like, do you ever come up with any of these names? You personally?
Yeah, like this thing right here behind you, I call this Palm Springs mango.
Uh-huh.
It comes from a tree that is kind of close to my house in Palm Springs. But I don't breed mangoes. Now someday maybe I will if I get bored enough or whatever. I don't really have time to mess around with hybridization.
Right.
And plus we have so many new hybrids that are awesome.
Yeah.
I concentrate on hyping up the stuff that I feel is worthy
Yeah.
and not very well known.
Yeah.
So there's lots of stuff like that in the mango kingdom, if you will, that don't receive much attention. So but there's a few that I've slapped names on. This is one of them. And it
Timo,
tasted
you've got a mango you named,
Oh yeah,
and what did you name yours?
I named that one Otis.
And what did you name yours after?
Otis Redding.
And Julian, you've introduced many fruits that
Yeah.
you've named. Do you have any with
With mango, I only introduced one, and that's the cabeza mango.
And why did you call it that?
Well, my father, had a customer to come in with this huge mango, and my dad was like, "Whoa, that's the size of a head." So let's name it head. Let's name it cabeza. So we went to the guy's house, got budwood, and the rest is history.
Fantastic.
And what's yours, Tom? You named one.
I have one I named the Balliet, which is after my maternal grandparents, my mother's mother and father, the Balliet.
Okay.
So this is grafted on a piva.
No, it's grafted on rootstock H from Gary's. Gary gave me this. He gave me a bunch of stuff that was grafted onto basically lettered rootstocks, but they're turpentine off types. They're all turpentine off types.
Like what would be a turpentine off type? Like 13-1?
13-1, I don't remember what the parentage of it
It's
is.
an
but
Israeli.
yeah, I know it's from Israel, and they grow it in South Africa too.
It looks like a turpentine.
Yeah, but it doesn't taste like a turpentine. It's not anywhere close as fibrous. But I have a 13-1, and I have a piva. They dwarf some stuff and not everything.
Right.
And same thing with this. So this is on rootstock H, and H dwarfs certain things and does nothing to other things.
Will it dwarf a Valencia Pride?
I don't know, but I don't think so. I have a dwarf Valencia Pride if you want to see it, though.
But what do you mean dwarf? Is it grafted on a dwarfing rootstock?
It's grafted on a supposedly turpentine rootstock, but was probably a turpentine off type. It's going to be the shortest Valencia Pride you've ever seen that's like 13 years old. So
Okay.
I'll show it.
Do you think anything's causing it to be dwarf
The
besides?
rootstock, yeah.
Really?
It's on
So
the
you
thing.
found a good rootstock
Potentially, Gary Zills told me that if it was him, he'd cut the tree down and let the
and let the rootstock grow. I was about to say that. How you gonna get that?
That
rootstock?
answered one of the questions
Yeah.
somebody had about Valencia
All right,
Pride,
Julian.
dwarfing it.
This is the K40 we got from you.
Ooh, I recognize that, man. I recognize that, my May.
So this is K40.
Yeah.
It had a fruit and it got eaten by an animal.
Yours
Very-
is really, really happy, flowering
Very,
everywhere.
yeah.
Mine is not as has flowers, but not as much as this.
Yeah, it likes it here. This is, I think this is Posto Azul.
Yeah, looks like it. Nice and dwarfy.
Yeah, it's got some fruit on it.
Oh, right. You got fruit before I did, Alex.
And then this is Lobo, which I also got.
Oh,
Looking
my
at
gosh.
my maze
I don't
now.
have that one, man. I think I sold my last one to you.
Oh, well, good thing you sold it to me then, right?
Yeah,
Because
good
now
thing.
There's plenty of buds. So, and it's flowering. I think,
Yeah, the reason why they call it Lobo is because the skin is very furry.
Scurfy, right? Yeah.
It's very
Like a
scarfy.
wolf?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Wow.
It's very rough, very, fuzzy.
So anyway, so this is just like we keep our maize clustered together so they'll pollinate.
Right, because they don't self-pollinate.
Yeah, or at least some of them don't. Okay, so I'll show you our oldest trees. I always like to show people that I'm pouring through the oldest stuff we've got here. So this tree just got cut back, okay? This tree was a lot taller a few months ago. This is a Moldova mango. Something. It was already about the size of this Duncan tree. you see back
Transplanted
here in the
from
stone.
1930
That's about how
something.
big this was when
Moldova.
we transplanted it. So this tree is 130 years old or so.
They just cut it
120
back.
something, probably.
1930s?
Yeah, they transplanted it at about that size in the 30s.
Oh.
So it was that big already. And
Wow.
I've seen the photograph of them.
It might have been
planting
30
this.
years. 30
Transplanted.
years old back in 1930.
Yeah, exactly. So
It was
this is
that
a
size when they
120 year old
transplanted
tree
it.
or something like that.
You know, and Moldova was brought to the Americas as a grafted tree on a merchant boat
Yeah,
from India. And there was probably like 5 or 6 more grafted varieties
yeah.
with Moldova.
Yeah.
And the only one that made the trip, that survived the trip, was Moldova. And they're not even sure if it was labeled correctly. So Moldova might not even be Moldova.
No, it's not. I have a photograph from the Fairchild archives that you can clearly see it froze below the grafting. And it's, I'll send you the picture later. When Jorge Zaldivar and I were over at the Montgomery Center going
Yeah.
to the archives,
Cool.
and we came across this picture taken in 1910 or 1913 or something like that of the original Moldova.
It might be a
and-
ceiling of whatever the rootstock
Yeah,
was.
the picture's actually I'm sorry. The picture was taken like in around 1900, I think, and you can clearly see the tree was about that big at that point in time, and you could see the shoots coming down from way below where any graft union would have been. So it got frozen in one of the 1893 freezes or whatever. They had horrible freezes back then, and came back below the graft union. So it's a random seedling. They have a real Moldova in India, but it's a much larger mango.
So
So-
Moldova is really not Moldova.
No,
down here in South
It's
Florida.
not. It's
Oh.
our own Moldova. So.
Wow.
Anyway, that's one of our oldest trees. I'll show you the oldest tree.
So Julian has a Lara Farms, which has a bunch of mangoes that you've seen, but he has a lot of other fruits, like a whole bunch of fruits. Where here, Alex focuses on mostly mangoes, and he has some avocados and mamey's, and sapodillas as well. But you won't find anything but those here. And Julian just has everything.
Yeah, I try to focus on, guanabana and custard apple.
Now, did your dad know Starlock?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Possible, right?
Very possible he came to see him to buy,
How long will a mango
trees.
tree live? Do you know what the longest living mango tree is?
Well,
by
I know
chance?
that in India there's trees that are like over 400 years old still fruiting. So indefinitely if they're not killed by people or lightning or whatever.
And,
Yeah.
and how old is the oldest mango tree that you have?
This one is, I'm going to speculate this was grown from seed in the end of the 19th century. So this is 130 years old or so. You can see it's got a very, very large trunk.
That one is a Moldova.
So this is an old turpentine. And back in the 1860s, the first turpentines were successfully introduced to Florida by a Dr. Fletcher. They planted them in the Snapper Creek area of Miami. And some of those were still alive up until Hurricane Andrew hit, and now they're gone. But turpentine got distributed from there to the rest of Florida. So they planted a bunch of them up in West Palm Beach in the 1870s. They planted some up in Brevard County on the west coast. So turpentine was like the first mango that got, you know, distributed around Florida. And so this is a really old turpentine tree. It's been through like every major hurricane of the 20th century. It would be a lot taller if it had not, I suppose, but we did prune it back as well. Had a lot of limbs shorn off over the years. You can see when it peeled over. So anyway, I still use this for a lot of our rootstocks. So
Original. This is as original as you can get.
yeah.
Yeah.
So real old school here. In fact, you can see some of the seedlings that popped up there that didn't get mowed.
Turpentine was introduced in the late 1800s
Yeah.
and spread out throughout the entire Caribbean.
Yep.
And it was the only mango known in the Caribbean for a long time
Yeah.
until Moldova showed up.
Right. They were eating these fibrous little things.
And there was towns in Cuba named Moldova.
Oh, really?
There's a town in Cuba named Moldova.
Well, they brought the turpentine from Cuba to Florida originally. The first turpentines would have been brought from Cuba, like in planted as seeds. They didn't graft them
Right.
back
No,
then.
there's no need for it to graft them either.
That's an old Philippine that would have been planted, I think, probably in the 30s. So, and actually, it bears heavy crops every year, and it made so many heavy crops. Now it's dying back a bit, but it'll flush back growth later this year, and it'll be okay. But
That's out.
it's okay. We get so much Philippine fruit that more than we know what to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, we planted a lot of interplants here. Dwarf trees between permanent trees. Like this is a dwarf Hawaiian. We used a lot of dwarf Hawaiians here as temporary trees.
And this is a deficiency of
Potassium.
Potassium, you think?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too much water?
No, they don't get watered.
What do you mean
Except
by-
when they're
What do you
fruiting.
mean when you say a temporary tree?
It means this tree's coming out eventually.
But what will you do with it?
We can dig it out, put it in a 25-gallon pot, or we can just cut it down and mulch it. That's our choice.
Okay, but I'm saying why grow it in the first place?
Because this is usable space. Like, look at the space
get
between
fruit,
these
to get
trees.
fruit.
We get fruit for 3, 4, 5 years or whatever. Sell that fruit. We get budwood for our nursery. We get budwood that we sell to people. And then once the trees grow into each other too much, we just remove the tree. And we've, if we originally purchased the tree, let's say we purchased it for less than $20 back in the day, we got way more than that off the
Understood.
tree over a period of years.
Gotcha.
And then if we want to, we can put it in a 25-gallon pot after we hack it back and sell it.
Yeah.
And I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah.
It's hard to kill a mango.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is that a chocanon?
no, that's a Mahmood Vikarabad. This is a variety from India that's awesome, really awesome, and it's dwarfish. It just grows slow. It flowers easily here in Florida. So this is one I did a video with Paul about this mango. Actually, really,
Wow.
Really exceptional.
Really?
So, yeah. It has my endorsement.
I never heard of it.
It's awesome. That's a Ceci Love. So this is like becoming super popular.
I've been hearing people
Yeah.
ask me about that.
Yeah, so this is also a dwarfish tree, getting ready to flower too. Yeah. So anyway, so a lot of these are temporary plantings. So like, dwarf Hawaiian.
Sorry.
So we put
Where's Dwarf Hawaiian? This little guy?
this one and see that one flowering.
Yeah,
right there?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a dwarf
Beautiful,
Hawaiian too.
beautiful.
Yeah. So I planted a lot of those, and they've grown a little slower than some of the other mangoes we've grown. Now some of these trees that we planted are not truly dwarves. Like this is rosy gold, for example.
Yeah. Look at it. True to Rosie Gold's reputation.
Yeah.
Here they come.
Here they come in March and April.
Yeah. Going through here. I have fruit on Mangifera lolligewa right now too.
We never heard of that one. Okay, what's it called? Mangifera what?
Lolligewa. So it's not a mango. It's from
Lolligewa.
Indonesia.
Right.
But it's close enough to mango.
Does it taste like mango?
Yeah, it tastes like a Thai mango. To
Oh,
me.
look at the flowers on these guys, how short and stubby they are.
Yeah. I mean, they'll make bigger panicles than that, but
So this is like a March, April fruit then, huh?
not normally. But it's producing some early. We get a lot of early bloom here in general.
Well, you're in a great location. That's
Yeah.
that's the other thing. Your location here is very suitable for mangoes.
It's pretty good.
Ideal.
They like this area. We'll put it that way. So. All right, so this is kind of where we planted a lot of our non-mangoes. So, like, for example, this core tree here is a Molish Sapodilla that I did not tend the fruit on, and it's
This stay
not
kinda
so
small.
happy with me right now. So,
You know, you can tell it's Molish. It has these wavy leaves, like a Ruffles chip.
But it makes so much fruit that if I don't thin it, the limbs break.
The limbs break and the fruit stays small.
Yep.
So you got a broken limb there.
Yep.
It's still the fruit can probably, you know.
There's so
survive.
much fruit on here that it broke the limb. What
That's
kind of
another
sapodilla is this? Alex, what kind of sapodilla is
Molish.
this? Molish.
Or Molix.
Molix. Look, so much fruit that it broke the branch. Amazing. So these are many of the sapodilla trees.
The second one I had, my dog ate it.
This is a Thomas sapodilla.
Oh, I got your Thomas you gave me a long time ago.
Thomas.
It's growing beautifully.
Yeah,
Sapodilla.
and that's a Thomas right there as well.
Oh, man.
It's productive.
Let me tell you the story about the Thomas. When he brought me a tree, and a fruit. I got a new sapodilla for you. Tell me what's different about it. Go ahead and eat it. And I ate it. I was like, nom, 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 nom. That's, you know, it's a regular sapodilla. But what's different about it, Julian? I don't know, nothing. It doesn't have a seed. I'm like, oh my God, that's right. Ate the whole thing, and I didn't realize it didn't have a seed. It was seedless.
Yeah, so it makes seedless fruit a lot of the time.
Look at that crop.
It'll make bigger ones. Yeah, that one's pretty loaded right there. But it'll make bigger ones that will have a few seeds, but like nothing major. Like, never be loaded.
Seedless. That's Thomas.
Anyway.
Did you sell a tree here?
Yeah, we sell the trees. And Julian sells the trees too, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
In a 1 gallon.
all right. So we have Mameys over here too. This is just a Pantene.
Right.
But this one here,
Just
I
a
love.
Pantene.
This is Sapodilla
Amazing.
Especial.
Oh yeah, Cepeda Especial.
Yeah, and this is just a delicious Mamey. Very,
Yeah.
very red color.
It has that syrup, that maple
Which
syrup
one is it?
flavor. Cepeda Especial. So somebody's last name was special.
Yeah, it's one of these Mameys that came from Eduardo Marin over in the Yucatan, and the Zills and Har brought that back in the 70s or 80s, and they planted them over at Fairchild.
This is like the Key West killer.
Yeah.
This will
Exactly.
you won't want a Key West Mamey after trying one of these.
Really?
They come in the same season. They have the same shape, the same
Yeah,
look to it,
yeah.
and they're just as productive, I think, as
Oh,
Pantene.
that's amazing because
And
I
the-
love a Key West.
Yeah, and the eating qualities is just superior to Key West.
Wow.
Yeah. I call
Wow.
it the Key West killers or the Pantene killers.
This one over here is another one of those Eduardo Marin selections. This is Lorito, which means little parrot,
Yeah.
because the guy that he got it from apparently talked a lot. That was where that name came from. But anyway, I love this Mamey as well. This is really exceptional. And
Yeah,
Produce
Laredo
enough.
is phenomenal.
yeah.
Another one.
And then this is a green Sapodilla, which has a couple fruit left on it.
Is
Has
this the
a lot-
Whitman?
Yeah, this is the Whitman. Yeah. I'll show you the Pomoho. But this is our Whitman flowering now.
Whitman
The cool thing about green Sapodilla is that it doesn't take forever from the time it flowers to the time you have mature fruit, the way these Mameys can.
Yeah, it's not 20 months.
Yeah, so
It's more like
get
12.
fruit a little quicker. And they don't grow quite as aggressively as Mameys do.
Well,
So.
my trees are just they're
Yours are
humongous.
older. Yours are a lot older than mine. So, anyway,
But yeah, those Yucatan Mameys, all of them,
they're exceptional.
they're exceptional,
They're
man.
really good. We have a Spanish lime that used to fruit, and then it got damaged in Hurricane Irma, and it's
Oh.
never fruited since.
Look,
That's a ganape, right?
yeah. Get 'em.
Ganape.
Okay, so over here is where we've got a mix of like mangoes and avocados. That's your Ronnie, which might have like one fruit left on it. Looks like an animal beat me out for one of them.
So tell me something about the Ronnie. What you think about it?
Oh, it's very good. But
It's a very dense avocado,
yeah,
right?
very dense avocado. Yeah, see, an animal got that one. But it's a little tricky to figure out when to pick them, even though they turn black. Like I picked them black and they didn't ripen properly. So I
It's
kind
a
of
very late season. I mean, I tell people if you have the discipline to let it stay on the tree, it's going to be phenomenal.
yeah, that seems to be the answer.
But it starts turning color, it starts turning black from like November on.
Which one is this?
It's called Ronnie.
Oh, you both
The
have been
animal
telling
is
me
pretty
about
hungry
this one.
'cause it doesn't seem so ripe.
Yeah, it's hard as a rock. It's hard as a rock. It's a super dense avocado.
Yeah.
It makes fruit all the way until April, March and April.
Is your tree loaded now?
My tree, more like I've been picking it. People have been buying it. They don't want to wait.
Is the season in Miami a little bit earlier or later than up here in West
No, I
Palm?
think it's the same.
So, I'll show you my palm. Yeah.
How do you pronounce it? Pohomo?
Pomoho is how I pronounce it. but
Between the
I'm
rain
not sure.
and the airport,
I really.
it's hard. I usually film here with a
I
microphone,
asked them
but
if
when
they
there's more than
had
two
green
people, I
spelling in
can't
their
use a
facility,
microphone.
and they know what I
So
was talking about. That's Kampong.
we'll see.
Wow. How
That's
Yeah.
Kampong. That's the one we were talking about. Remember last
Yeah,
time?
it's got one or two fruit left on it.
Yeah, that's
These are some
amazing.
Rosa mangoes,
Kampong.
which actually is kind of a dwarf. Actually, this was planted in 2016, I think. So this is like a
Jeez.
8-year-old
It
tree.
looks like a Julie.
Yeah. So flowers very easily. That's another one too.
And Rosa is the early
Very
season,
early,
right?
yeah.
Like a rosy gold.
Oh, that's my Viejo memory.
Okay.
There's a Viejo. This is the winter mame. This
Yeah.
one's off
Julian, the
season.
Julie's grow slow?
Yeah, Julie's a dwarf.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's the
the
Viejo.
Viejo is a really interesting specimen because it's so close to like other Sapodillas, like green Sapodilla and Canastone.
It grows kind of out
Yeah,
and low.
short and wide.
Yeah. So.
But trust me, after 20 years, it's going to be a big tree.
Yeah, eventually. These are temporary trees between it, so they'll come out. Those mangoes.
See that toggle?
But
Especially because I'm a little
this
shaky.
is Excalibur, my man. This is
Oh,
the
really?
one that has trouble. It's an oblong mame. It's really pretty, really dark red, but it splits a lot and it ripens unevenly. So I've been and it drops a lot of.
What
fruit.
kind of mame is that?
Excalibur.
Excalibur. Okay.
And I guess I don't know what it was from. I know it's from Excalibur Nursery, but like it flowers prolifically and it sets fruit, but eventually it drops a lot of them. So anyway, it's been disappointing in that respect. All the other memes we grow seem to ripen fine, but that one doesn't.
Blooms
So
on that is amazing.
Yeah, that's covered.
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But, let me show you the Palmarzo.
That's high in
You
density.
got a fruit on there.
That neat.
Wow.
So
That's
let the
ready.
world know that I got a fruit before he did, and he's the one that sold me the tree.
There's a green sapote. What's the name of this variety?
Palmoho from
Palmoho.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's from Hawaii.
Pohomo or Pohama'o.
And
Something
how do you
like
feel that this tree is fruiting right now? You haven't got fruit yet.
It's flowering too.
But he
No
got
comment.
it from you.
No comment.
Yeah.
I get flowers, but I have no fruit set, and it's surrounded by maize and green sapote. So
Well,
that
the
your
one
first
thing I
fruit?
regret
Yeah.
is that we don't have it. Yes, this is the first fruit we've gotten from it, but I regret not having other green sapotes nearby to pollinate it. We have this paste mame here, but I don't know if they'll pollinate. I don't kind of suspect they won't because they're a different species.
I
But-
think because all I have is Whitman,
Oh, really?
and they have that one
Well,
Pohomo.
maybe it self-pollinates. Maybe Whitman self-pollinates. You know, I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I do wish that this was growing next to our Whitman. And if we ever get another green sapote, I'll have to think about maybe taking out one of the trees nearby and planting that green sapote near this one so they can cross-pollinate. Obviously, the Whitman pollinates itself, so because I don't have any green sapotes growing.
Well, my main might pollinate it.
Maybe. Hopefully.
They
I
look,
hope it
the
does.
flowers and the tree look almost identical.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a nice, healthy tree, and
Well, it's happy here in the sand.
yeah, it
And
is.
the mulch.
Green sapotes are from elevated areas of Central America.
Guatemala.
Guatemala specifically. They don't grow in the lowlands. And it might be that they favor this ridge here a little more than they favor the interior where the elevation's lower. I grew green sapote in Loxahatchee and they died from flooding. So they don't like water.
Look at this size of this tree. What tree is this, Alex?
This is a Martin Sapodilla.
Martin
And
Sapodilla.
it's
Look how
named
tall.
after this Mr. Martin from, a lot.
Loaded.
This is what I use for rootstock a lot of the time when I need Sapodilla rootstock.
All right, everybody. That was it. That was so wonderful. I had so much time hanging out with those guys. And like I said, my Sapodilla trees here, my mango trees. Every time I come back from Tropical Acres Farm or hanging out with one of those guys, I've learned something new about the different fruits. And I look at my trees and I'm like, oh wow, come I didn't think about that? But it's just so educational for me and hopefully for you. So thank you to everyone that was in this video with me. There are links up below. Thank you for watching my channel. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe now. Until then, everybody, have a great day and keep growing.